Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Today, we're going to start the last chapter of Ādi of Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is the Youthful Pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Just a second, hold on. So, we will say our Mangalacharan prayers and we shall begin. ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गे राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वतीदेवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So, new chapter, chapter 17 of the Ādi Leela, and this is the longest chapter of the Ādi Leela, the last one. So, verse number 1. Vande svairādbhuteham tam chaitanyam yat prasadatah yavanaha sumanayante krishna nama prajalpakaah. Very nice. Let me offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by whose mercy even unclean Yavanas become perfectly well-bred gentlemen by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Such is the power of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purport. There is a persistent misunderstanding between caste Brahmanas and advanced Vaishnavas or Goswamis. Because caste Brahmanas or Smartas are of the opinion that one cannot become a Brahmana unless he changes his body. As we have discussed several times, it is to be understood that by the supremely powerful potency of the Lord, as described by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, everything is possible. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is as fully independent as Krishna. Therefore, no one can interfere with his activities. If he wants, by his mercy, he can convert even a Yavana, an unclean follower of non Vedic principles, into a perfectly well behaved gentleman. This is actually happening in our propagation of the Krishna consciousness movement. The members of the present Krishna consciousness movement were not born in India, nor do they belong to the Vedic culture, but within the short time of 4 or 5 years, they have become such wonderful devotees simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra that even in India they are well received as perfectly well behaved Vaishnavas wherever they go. Although less intelligent men cannot understand it, this is the special power of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, the body of a Krishna conscious person changes in many ways. Because the argument is we have to change the body in order to become Krishna conscious. So Prabhupada is saying actually the body of a Krishna conscious person changes in many ways. Even in the United States, when our devotees chant on the street, American ladies and gentlemen inquire from them whether they are actually Americans because No one could expect Americans to become such nice devotees all of a sudden. Even Christian priests are greatly surprised that all these boys from Jewish and Christian families have joined this Krishna consciousness movement. Before joining, they never regarded any principles of religion seriously, but now they have become sincere devotees of the Lord. Everywhere, people express this astonishment, and we take great pride in the transcendental behavior of our students. In other words, we have to make Prabhupada proud by our behavior. It doesn't come with just chanting Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Of course, we have to do that. But there are people who only chant Jai Prabhupada, but actually, when it comes to behavior, way below standard. So that is not helpful at all. Mhm. Everywhere, people express this astonishment, and we take great pride in the transcendental behavior of our students. Such wonders are possible, however, only by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They are not ordinary or mundane. So, this is a very important lesson, especially for Indians. People outside India, they won't feel this as much. But in India, and me coming from a Smartha family, I totally see this because Smarthas, they are not very accommodating of Vaishnavas, um, especially Vaishnavas who are not from Smartha families or traditional Vaishnava families, especially in my part of the country, South India. The Vaishnavas means Sri Vaishnavas, Sri Sampradaya Vaishnavas, and they're usually accustomed to their agamas, their way of worshipping, and ours, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, you know, is different in the sense, first of all, our stress is on Sankirtan. In fact, honestly, even Sri Sampradaya, the stress is on Sankirtan. At least it was. Ramanujacharya, although he established, philosophically, the Vedanta Sutra commentary and everything, he also propagated chanting. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu especially inaugurated it on a widespread scale. So that he in fact said that it has to be preached all over the world. And in fact, Ramanujacharya also was a preacher. Any Vaishnava Acharya is a preacher because otherwise it is not compassion. One has to see that the world is suffering, and the Acharya must take every single step possible to mitigate their suffering by introducing this Krishna consciousness in the society. At the present moment, the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most prominent in the activity of preaching Krishna consciousness actively to the people on a widespread scale. This is the most prominent movement at this point, and um, we accept people from everywhere, even though they may be, meat eaters or anybody, chandalas, yavanas, mlechas, anywhere. This kind of dynamism is not being seen even in Sri Sampradaya. They don't do like this. Even they nowadays have relegated to birth-based Brahmana kind of, only those people become more, prominent or known as Vaishnavas, something like this. Converting people from, converting means it's not exactly conversion because the souls have converted themselves out of Krishna consciousness into something else. We are bringing them back only. But anyway, we take people from everywhere and make them into Vaishnavas. So that dynamism of preaching is not found in any other sampradaya at this moment. And when we talk of accepting people from all over, not just accepting, not just superficial acceptance. Oh, we allow everybody to come into the temple. We don't stop women from coming to the temple, or we don't stop with Dalits or some kind of what is that low. I mean, chandalas, fifth class or shudras to come into the temple. To it is just a superficial. Okay, letting them come into the temple. That's not the only thing. That's nothing actually. We make them into proper top class Vaishnavas. Change them. So that is what Prabhupada's movement is. It's not that we do. It is Prabhupada's mercy that on his order, on the strength of his order, this movement is going on like that. And turn them into first class Vaishnavas. That, like Gandhi, he called the Dalits and all these low class, low cultured people, and he called them Harijan. Because people were looking down upon them, discriminating against them. So he just called them Harijan, and they should be accepted. That is rubber stamping them. That is no use. Make them actually Harijan. Harijan means they are Jan of Hari. They are people of Hari. That means they are carrying out the mission of Hari, and they are dedicated to Lord Hari. That is Harijan. Only a devotee, Vaishnava, is called Harijan. Vaishnava means Vishnu's devotee, Vaishnava. So Harijan means that. So make them actually Harijan. Don't just rubber stamp them Harijan. And he was greatly, it's a great revolutionary for that. He was seen as, at least he was portrayed as. I don't know whether everybody saw it as that. But that is stupidity. Actually, it is not very effective. Not at all effective, in fact. The effective way is this. Let's see. किरातहोणान्ध्रपुलिन्दपुल्कषा आभीरशुम्भाः यवनाः खसादयः येन्ये च पापा यदपाश्रयाश्रयाः शुध्यन्ति तस्मै प्रभविष्णवे नमः. Kiratas, Hunas, Andhras, Pulindas, Pulkashas, Abhiras, Shumbhas, Yavanas, members of the Khasa races, Khasi people who are in the northeast of India, and even the Chinese and Japanese and Korean and all these people, and even others addicted to sinful acts. These are considered, these people, here, I always mix up. So these people, they are considered lesser than Shudras, Antyajas they are called. 5th class, 6th class, 10th class people. Why? Why there is classification even? According to culture. There has to be. And it's not to discriminate. So that we can see, how much they have to be uplifted. So there has to be classification. It's not for discrimination. Classification should be there. Because just like first world, second world, third world countries, they say, on what basis? There's a classification there. Right? Even in the white collar job, blue collar job, they call it, or government service, there are always classification. There is classification. There has to be classification in order for proper functioning of the society. So why in the first place Antyajas were ostracized from society? Why? Because it is not good for people to associate with low cultured people. So that is why they were kept away from them. But if any members of the low cultured people want to become Vaishnavas, they should be given full, chance. Asatsanga Tyaga. If somebody is not following Vedic principles, so that they don't disturb those who are following Vedic principles, that's why they were kept separate. But they were taken full care of. But they were not allowed to mix in the society. They can if they want to. If they followed, Vedic principles, they can stay within the precincts of the common population and they can live. And if they don't, they were separated so that they don't contaminate. Just like quarantine. I mean, if somebody is infected, he is quarantined, right? For what? It is good for the people that he is separate. It's not that we are discriminating against him. On a medical grounds, it is, quarantining him so that others won't get infected. So that's the same principle, but spiritual quarantine. But that has turned out to be something else after that. They were ridiculed and they were discriminated against by the so-called Brahmanas who were supposed to train them and make them into Vaishnavas. So those who can give their association to them, they can go and preach to them. But the general population are not so advanced to give association. They will take their association and become contaminated themselves. And that's why it is prohibited for the general class of people. But the Vaishnavas, they go everywhere. They go everywhere and they preach. And they try to change even the low born or low cultured. Like, Narad Muni. He went and, delivered the Mrigari the hunter. And Gautam Muni, the famous incident in the Chandogya Upanishad. Sometimes that part is also called Jabala Upanishad. Satyakam Jabala. That boy was a Nishad in the forest, tribal, and he was definitely an Antyaja, but he made him into a Brahmana. So Vaishnavas, they always go into it because they give association. They are not influenced by them; they influence them. So this was the reason why they were called, fifth class, sixth class. So there has to be classification, so you know what class they are. So all these Kiratas, Honas, Pulindas, Pulkushas, Abhira, Shumbha, Yavana, Khasadaya, they are all addicted to sinful acts. But they can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord, due to His being the supreme power. Due to the Lord being the supreme power, His devotees can purify even them. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto Him. So this is our movement, and especially so by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Dino hina jata chilo hari name uddharilo tar sakshi jagai madhai. Narottam Das Thakur had sung. What did he say? That of the lowest of the low, they can be elevated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy and by taking up the holy name, and the evidence of that is Jagai and Madhai, who were delivered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this world is filled with millions of Jagais and Madhais at the moment. So all of them can be delivered or purified by the association of devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy that is possible that these people who are otherwise so fallen, otherwise, this is the actual path. येषां त्वन्तगतं पापं जनानां पुण्यकर्मणां ते द्वन्द्वमोहनिर्मुक्ता भजन्ते मां दृढव्रताः. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. So, to come to Krishna consciousness and do it with determination, one has to have performed pious activities in previous lives and this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated. So it is actually available only for those who are pure. But how are these Antyajas and all these sinful people coming? Only by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu it is possible, by the Harinam given by his devotees, by the Acharya Prabhupada. It is possible for them to come to this. This is a very extraordinary thing we are seeing, that people of all kinds of people are changing into Krishna consciousness. This is very extraordinary. It is not usually seen. But now it is seen on a massive scale because of Prabhupada's mercy, because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, so much so that we have taken it for granted. Oh, when we go to Vrindavan, Mayapur, we see all, people from all over the world, every country. But how is that happening? That's not a normal thing to see, actually. It's a very astonishing sight. In Kali Yuga, you can see it in mass scale by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are born into this movement, or we have come to this movement, are taking it for granted, but this was not the case anytime in history at this level, at this scale. So this is not. This is a very very extraordinary times we are living in. So going back, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. The other thing is the Smartas. They are always looking down on the Vaishnava. Oh, you are coming from all these families. This meat eaters. We are not so fallen as you all. We were, from birth we were only eating vegetarian food and so on and so forth. What is the use of your vegetarian food? As good as a goat. Goat is also eating vegetarian whole life. What is the use? There is a saying in Bengali. Chagol kina, what is that? Pagol kina bole, chagol kina khai. That means what a madman will not speak and what does the goat not eat. There is nothing that the goat will not eat in vegetarian category. And there is nothing that a madman will not speak. Pagol ki na bole, chagol ki na khaye. So, chagol means goat in Bengali. So, goat eats everything vegetarian. So, you are vegetarian, that's not a big thing. Goat is also vegetarian. So, there's no pride in being a vegetarian and just by superficial abstinence from sinful life. The real effect will be that one will be able to take up Krishna consciousness. If one is fortunate, he will be able to take up. ए ब्रह्मांड भ्रमित कोनो भाग्यवान जीव गुरु कृष्ण प्रसाद पाया भक्ति लता बीज. He takes to devotional service. He gets the mercy of the Guru and Krishna if he is a bhagyavan, if he is a fortunate person. So if I am following all vegetarian vagera vagera, but I am not able to come to this movement, and I actually despise the movement, the Hare Krishna movement, that means I am thoroughly unfortunate. Thoroughly unfortunate. I am not pure, and that means I am not purified enough to actually take to this movement. That's the actual fact. But they think they are more pious and we are impious. Oh, and because Smartas, they think that they can chant the mantras very pure, very like in a nice pronunciation, and so they think they are better off. These people, they cannot even pronounce the mantras properly. They don't even know some of the rituals properly. This and that. Honestly, in Kali Yuga, Harer Nama, Namaiva Kevalam, Kalau Nastyeva Gatiranyatha. What is that? No other way, no other way, no other way will work. None of your rituals are ever going to work, even a single bit. Okay? Only thing that will work is Harer Nama, Eva Kevalam. Kevalam means what? Only. 3 times repeated. Nothing else will work. Nothing else. Huh? Because everything is topsy turvy, everything is contaminated in this, in this. So just by able to chant properly and having full hubris and pride inside the heart, there is not any sign of any realization at all. Actually, regarding the smartas, I should take you to this verse and just read that. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was vehemently against these smarta people. Because they are so offensive to devotees. Yes, tat sarvam nah samachakshva prishto yadiha kinchana manye tvam vishaye vacham snatam anyatra chandasat. We know that you are expert in the meaning of all subjects except some portions of the Vedas, and thus you can clearly explain the answers to all the questions we have just put to you. Now let's imagine, let's study this statement. We know that you are expert in the meaning of all subjects except some portions of the Vedas. So some things you don't know, but you are expert in the meaning of all subjects. And therefore you can clearly explain. If you don't know something, how can you clearly explain everything? So what is that? What do they actually mean? This is actually the sages at Naimisharanya, they were telling Suta Goswami this thing. Suta Goswami was speaking. So they were glorifying him like this. So it doesn't look like a glorification, right? What is this? Except some portions of the Vedas. They are saying what? I don't know something. He may think, right? What do they mean by this? So this we have to understand from the purport. This is extremely important purport for our people of our movement, especially when you are facing these markers. Okay, remember this 1 4 13. Note it down and read it, understand it. Okay, purport. The difference between the Vedas and the Puranas is like that between the Brahmanas and the Parivrajakas. The Brahmanas are meant to administer some fruitive sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas, but the Parivrajaka Acharyas or learned preachers are meant to disseminate transcendental knowledge to one and all. As such, the Parivrajaka Acharyas are not always expert in pronouncing the Vedic mantras, okay, which are practiced systematically by accent and meter by the Brahmanas, who are meant for administering Vedic rites. Yet, it should not be considered that the Brahmanas are more important than the itinerant preachers. Itinerant preachers means traveling preachers. They are one and different simultaneously because they are meant for the same end in different ways. There is no difference also between the Vedic mantras and what is explained in the Puranas and Itihasas. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, it is mentioned in the Madhyandina Shruti that all the Vedas, namely the Sama, Atharva, Rig, and Yajur, Puranas, Itihasas, Upanishads, etc., are emanations from the breathing of the Supreme Being. The only differences are that the Vedic mantras mostly begin with Pranava Omkara and that it requires some training to pronounce the metrical accent without which the mantras cannot be successfully chanted. Although Srila Suta Goswami was a preacher of the first order, that means first class preacher, he did not bother much about the metrical pronunciation of the Vedic mantras. But that does not mean that Srimad Bhagavatam is of less importance than the Vedic mantras. On the contrary, it is the ripened fruit of all the Vedas, as stated before. Akhila Shruti Saram. Akhila Shruti Saram. It is the ripened fruit of, in fact, Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalamidam. And this Bhagavatam is the Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam. Galitam Phalam means ripened fruit of Nigama Kalpataror. Nigama means Vedas. Kalpataru means the desire tree. Desire tree means Kalpavriksha. Whatever you want, you can get from the tree. So, the desire tree of the Vedas, this Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of it. The sweet ripened fruit. So that's why it is said here. On the contrary, it is the ripened fruit of all the Vedas, as stated before. Besides that, the most perfectly liberated soul, Srila Shukadeva Goswami, is absorbed in the studies of the Bhagavatam, although he is already self-realized. Srila Suta Goswami is following his footsteps, and therefore his position is not the least less important because he was not expert in chanting the Vedic mantras with metric pronunciation, which depends more on practice than actual realization. Realization is more important than parrot-like chanting. And these martas, they engage in parrot-like chanting. No realizations. Not at all involved in the glorification of the Lord. Nothing. Simply to further their own pride in the matter that they can chant something with proper pronunciation. No brains. Simply they have relegated. They have thrown their brains away. So this we have to understand this very thoroughly. Okay? Yeah. Janasya Krishnad Vimukhasya Daivad. This is what itinerant preachers do. They don't wait for people to become pious, and they make people pious. They make people pious. Janasya Krishnad Vimukhasya Daivad Adharmashilasya Sudukhitasya Anugrahaye Charanti Nunam Bhutani Bhavyani Janardanasya. O my Lord, great philanthropic souls travel on the earth on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to show compassion to the fallen souls who are averse to the sense of subordination to the Lord. So sometimes people don't understand us. When we call people rascal, oh, you're not surrendering to Krishna, they think we're always finding faults with people and nothing else but finding faults. But unless you find the fault, how can you teach him the correct thing? If you think everybody is correct, falsely, they're not correct. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here in this material world. They would be in Vaikuntha. This material world is for people who have committed faults. So a preacher must see that this is a faulty situation. There has to be, and he knows what is the correct thing to do to preach Krishna consciousness, and that will actually purify the population. So therefore, he preaches. So of course, he takes the good qualities of everyone and tries to engage them in Krishna consciousness, but he also sees that it is a fault. So anyway, so much can be said about this. So going back all the way, all glories to Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Kaishora Lilar Sutra Korilo Ganan, Yauvana Lilar Sutra Kori Anukram. I have already given a synopsis of the Kaishora Lila of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now let me enumerate his youthful pastimes in chronological order. Kaumara, Pauganda, Kaishora, Yauvana. Hmm. विद्या सौन्दर्य सद्वेष संभोग नृत्य कीर्तनैः प्रेम नाम प्रदानैश्च गौरोद्दीव्यति यौवने. Exhibiting his scholarship, beauty, and fine dress, Lord Chaitanya danced and chanted as he distributed the holy name of the Lord to awaken dormant love of Krishna. Thus, Lord Sri Gaurasundar shone in his youthful pastimes. यौवन प्रवेशे अंगेर अंग विभूषण दिव्य वस्त्र दिव्य वेश माल्य चंदन. As he entered his youth, the Lord decorated himself with ornaments, dressed himself in fine cloth, garlanded himself with flowers, and smeared himself with sandalwood. विद्यार औद्धत्य कहाँ ना करे गणन सकल पंडित जिनि करे अध्यापन. By dint of pride in his education, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not caring for anyone else, defeated all kinds of learned scholars while executing his studies. So at this point, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his youth, he exhibited extreme pride. And in Chaitanya Bhagavat, we will get more information about this. I did not read Chaitanya Bhagavat, but Subala Prabhu, he was reading and I think he was listening to some audiobook or something. And he was telling me some stories from Chaitanya Bhagavat. He was so um, seemingly proud of his knowledge and accomplishment, and he was you know behaving in a very rash way, and it is hard to understand. So we may think, oh, this is not very good. So this pride is not good. How can God be full of pride like this? But actually, when Krishna says things like, "I am the supreme. There is no one equal to or superior to me," that's not pride. Pride is when I have overestimation of myself and I think I'm too big than I'm what I actually am. Krishna is actually the biggest. He is the owner and he is the be all and end all of everything. And for him, any amount of um, description falls short of his actual uh, position. So, if he says that I'm complete in knowledge, I have all the knowledge of the world and I know everything. In fact, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? Like in the fourth chapter, he says, Arjuna, you and I have taken many births. I remember all of them, but you cannot. Is he proud? Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. You see? O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me, no one knows. So, this is not an statement of pride. This is a statement of fact. So, none of his. So, even if it seems that he is exhibiting pride, in fact, it is wonderful that when he doesn't exhibit that pride, he is actually exhibiting humility and is becoming controlled by his devotees. He's humble in front of his devotees. That is his extraordinary feature. Otherwise, if he is saying that I have all the knowledge you don't have, if an ordinary person says that, I know everything you don't, that is pride because I can't know everything. And looking down on someone. But because we are equal, why looking down on someone is bad? Or treating someone as lesser than oneself is bad. Why? Because we are actually equal. As souls, we're all equal. But Krishna is not equal to us. He is the supreme. We are infinitesimal. We are nothing compared to him. He coming and actually dealing with us or dealing with in the human population and even giving us the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and sending acharyas, taking so much care of us, giving us the body, giving us the intelligence, giving us the brain to do all this. It's actually how humble of him to do so. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to. So he's actually doing it. But when he says, "You don't know anything, I know," that is not pride. You know, that's actually a fact. We don't know anything, and he does. And even if we know something, that is only by his mercy. So he is never wrong in his so-called statements of pride. That is not pride. Just like people think, oh, he He Vastraharan Leela, he saw the gopis naked. What is this? How can he do this? He has all perverted desires. That is not perverted. That is not perverted because he can already, first of all, see everybody naked, inside and outside. But this is spiritual. It is come nothing to do with material lust. He is not even interested. This is Madhurya Ras. This is a very high subject matter. Okay, it's not a topic for now. We've already explained this before. Hmm. So it's a very spiritual matter, and there's no lust in the Lord. And similarly, there's no pride in the Lord. Pride means when you overestimate yourself. Krishna cannot overestimate himself because there's nobody over than him or better than him. There's nothing more than him. So how much ever infinitely he glorifies himself, it is still only factual. It is not pride. So it appears proud because for ordinary people on ordinary calculation, it appears full of pride and everything. But actually, it's just factual. He's just being honest. Most of the time, he acts like he's a driver of Arjuna. A small boy getting chastised by his mother. This is he's covering up his real position. But real position, he's saying like in Bhagavad Gita many times he said, "I know everything. I am sitting in everyone's heart. I am watching every one of you." He's saying all this thing. In fact, from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Now, if I say that, sir, you are remembering because of me. If I say this, if I say that the sun is rising because of me, moon is rising because of me, Krishna is saying, I am the light of the sun and moon, I am the taste of water. If I say this, mental fellow, go. You will not even, you will, that one guy is there, the Nityananda, that's a South Indian fellow, Tamil fellow, Nityananda, Paramahamsa, he calls himself. Useless fellow. So he says all these kind of things. People only laugh at him. He's a comedian only, that's all. So people will either consider me comedian or mad fellow, or nobody will be actually taking me seriously. But Krishna is actually saying these things, and none of them are pride. They're just fact. By dint of pride in his education, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not caring for anyone else, defeated all kinds of learned scholars while executing his studies. वायु व्याधि छले कैलो प्रेम परकाश भक्त गण लया कैलो विविध विलास. In his youth, the Lord exhibited his ecstatic love of Krishna on the plea of disturbances of the bodily airs. Accompanied by his confidential devotees, he enjoyed various pastimes in this way. When you have, according to Ayurveda, when your three dhatu, the Vayu, Kapha, and Pitta, become disarranged, disoriented, then you will have sickness. So when the Vayu, there is an imbalance of Vayu, the proper movement of airs within the body. There are different kinds of airs within the body. 10 kinds of airs. Hmm? So these move within the body to maintain the bodily order, the order of the organs. So if something becomes more or less, then it becomes a disturbance and we become diseased. So it's a very different perspective from modern way of looking, modern medicine. But this is the Vedic system, which is actually perfect system. Much of it is lost at the moment, but Debale is asking who is Nityananda Prabhu from ISKM group. That boy? No, no, no. Arey, some bogus Baba in South India, not from our. You know, he's now in hiding in some island in Ecuador or somewhere. Bogus guru, bogus. He calls himself Shiva. Anyway, he's an idiot. So the kind of people are there. He's a fugitive, in fact, according to Indian law. So, so this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. One second. Purport. According to the Ayurvedic treatment, the entire physiological system is conducted by three elements, namely Vayu, Pitta, and Kapha, air, bile, and mucus. Secretions within the body transform into other secretions like blood, urine, and stool. But if there are disturbances in the metabolism, the secretions turn into Kapha or mucus by the influence of the air within the body. According to the Ayurvedic system, when the secretion of bile and formation of mucus disturb the air circulating within the body, 59 varieties of diseases may occur. Wow, you see, 59 varieties of diseases may occur. One such disease is craziness. So even when one is crazy, that means actually a what is that? Disorderly movement of air. By that one can become crazy also. The brain doesn't get enough blood because of that. That pumping of the heart, that pumping, it is actually air. Like pump means there is sucking and there is movement like that. Then that movement happens in air. Mhm. So all the movement, the blood, everything that is flowing. Of course, modern medicine they say blood and this and that, but actually this is movement of air, which is moving the blood. Subtle airs. These are subtle airs, and actually, let us just to recap. I think some of you already know, but the others who do not know, let's go to 367 first. The activity of consciousness is performed through the air of life, which is of 10 divisions. I'm reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam 367 purport. The airs of life are called prana, apana, udana, vyana, and samana. In short, they call it, in short, not in short, in sandhi, in one short, they will call it pranapana, vyanodana, samana. That they call it. Now, these are the five main life airs. The airs of life are called prana, apana, udana, vyana, and samana, and are also differently qualified as naga, kurma, krikara, devadatta, and dhananjaya. The consciousness of the soul becomes polluted by the material atmosphere, and thus various activities are exhibited in the false ego of bodily identification. So these are all there. Now, what each of these airs do is also mentioned. 369 purport. Take note of this. The movements of the body are first generated from the heart, and all the activities of the body are made possible by the senses powered by the 10 kinds of air within the body. When you have this piston hydraulic systems that powered by air and they move. So similarly, we have a hydraulic system within our body that moves not only our physical parts but also influences the amount of mental capacity also we can have. Hmm. So let's see what they are. The 10 kinds of air are described as follows. The main air passing through the nose in breathing is called prana. Prana. The air which passes through the rectum as evacuated bodily air is called apana. And in fact, this apana vayu is downward moving air. Um, Women give birth. That wind that pushes the baby downward is also apana air, apana vayu. I was actually seeing a short video the other day. One lady was explaining, Indian lady. She was explaining that in childbirth they make the woman lie on the bed, and then they ask the lady to push the baby out. But actually, that's a very very abnormal position to give birth in. Sometimes they put the legs up also. How it is downward motion that the baby comes out, not upward motion. And the lady was saying, should the woman propel the child like a rocket or what up into the air? It's not possible. So um, the in traditionally the women are actually in malasana, like sitting down as if they were going to toilet like that, and in that way they actually give birth, and even the mother in fact holds the child when the child is born. So I was actually astonished by the description. I said wow, and she was saying that this is apana vayu, it moves downward. And in fact in the Srimad Bhagavatam third canto 31st chapter verse 17 or 18 around there, the wind of parturition, which is the downward movement. Just go there and come back. Um, The wind that helps parturition propels him forth with his face turned downward so that he may be born. Let's see what the You see, avachinam, turned downward. Suti marutaha. Suti. Prasuti means birth. Suti means birth. Suti marutaha, the wind for childbirth. So this is, although it is Apanavayu, it is a sub category of Apanavayu which is Suti Maruta. Yeah? So that Suti Maruta is the air which propels a child downward. So it is downward motion that the child actually comes naturally in, and the mother will not have as much pain as she would have when she's lying down. So this is a science. I mean, our Vedic system is so perfect. Unfortunately, modern medicine, they don't know these things. In fact, now I think WHO they released the thing that women should give birth in whichever position they feel comfortable in. They should not be forced to follow a certain thing because the many women I think had problems or what. So this is the thing. Anyway, coming back to the point, the air which passes through the rectum as evacuated bodily air is called apana. Apana actually is a downward moving air. For them. The air which adjusts the foodstuff within the stomach and which sometimes sounds as belching is called samana. The air which passes through the throat and the stoppage of which constitutes suffocation is called udana air. And the total air which circulates throughout the entire body is called the vyana air. Subtler than these five airs, there are others also. That which facilitates the opening of the eyes, mouth, etc. is called the naga air. The air which increases appetite is called the krikara air. The air which helps contraction is called kurma air. The air which helps relaxation by opening the mouth wide in yawning is called the devadatta air, and the air which helps sustenance is called the dhananjaya air. All these airs are generated from the center of the heart, which is one only. This central energy is the superior energy of the Lord, which is seated within the heart along with the soul, who acts under the guidance of the Lord. So look at this, the whole hydraulic system of different kinds of airs moving different kinds of senses so that we can actually work. This life air system is what governs the entire bodily structure and bodily movement and its health. So that is Ayurveda. So to maintain that, you know, um, one has to take sufficient food and rest and everything. So to maintain that. So, one second, going back. The, if those get disorderly, then 59 varieties of diseases may occur. One such disease is craziness. In fact, there are other airs also, even, other than these 10, more finer, subtler airs. So, like you see this Suti Maruta. Suti Maruta is Apanavayu. It's a subcategory of Apanavayu, which is not exactly through the rectum, but through the um, genitals. I mean, what is that? Birth canal of the woman. So that way. On the plea of disturbance of the bodily air and metabolism, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu acted as if crazy. So he used to say, I have some, vata problem, some vayu problem. But actually, he was in ecstatic love of God. Thus, in his school, he began to explain the grammar of verbs through Krishna consciousness. Explaining everything in grammar in relationship to Krishna, the Lord induced his students to refrain from worldly education. Look at this. Okay, now explaining everything in grammar in relationship to Krishna, the Lord induced his students to refrain from worldly education, for it is better to become Krishna conscious and in this way attain the highest perfectional platform of education. So this is very important. And we say, oh, give up your, school and college and join full time. This is highest education. You have to teach this to others. People will go, oh, how you can say like that? How you can deny the right to education? No, we are not denying. You are denying the right for him to get educated in Krishna consciousness. We are asking them to take up their birthright of Krishna consciousness. You are denying them the right and giving them some false education. So that's our point. This education you take up. This is real education. We're not saying give up education. We're not asking you to become fool. Take up the real education. That is false education. You're becoming a fool there. Now you become actually intelligent. That's what we're. That's why when we say, oh, give up education, oh, people will, oh, this is. In fact, now even Hare Krishna devotees in ISKCON, they are thinking like this, that to study and become a devotee is the best thing. Old school, Prabhupada's time, it's 70s, yeah, hippies, yeah, for them it is, better to join up. But now, we have to have some decent jobs. In fact, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, and even Prabhupada said that we have to have devotees who are, lawyers, who are doctors, who are educated people, decent people who are devotees. That does not mean they are more decent than devotees who have joined up. Please don't get this wrong in your head. That means he's saying that we have to, of course, have a band of devotees who are actually full time and dedicated, because without them, the others cannot become devotees. Whom will they associate with if there is no temple, if there is no full time devotees running the temple, you know, serving in the temple? How can anyone associate with anyone? So it has to be that. And then, yes, the normal people also should take up. All the so called qualified people of society also should be taken up. Not that it should be at the expense of full time devotees. No, that is nonsense. Who is this? Blitziko. Gomutra can cure cancer is real education. Well, I don't know what Gomutra can do, but yeah, it is very medicinal, full of medicinal properties. And I'm not sure about the cancer and all. Maybe somebody who's more expert here they can know. But yeah, it has all the um, medicinal properties, and it's antiseptic as well. In fact, it boosts the immunity as well. And not only that, the Lord is bathed with cow urine when he's installed. What are you saying? So you don't know what is the this thing of cow urine. What is the benefits of cow urine? So you don't talk. Huh? It's not the urine of a horse or your urine. Okay. So we're not saying your urine is this thing, or anyone else's urine or some lizard urine. No, cow urine. Yes, it is. It is fully pure. Okay. Somebody is asking, is the chanting of Hare Krishna like a type of pranayam? Way more than pranayam. Pranayam is nothing compared to. Of course, there is breathing when you are chanting Hare Krishna. Pranayam is nothing compared to Hare Krishna chanting, because Hare Krishna chanting is where you are actually meditating on Krishna. Pranayam, it is only one of the subsidiary rules to meditate on Krishna. But meditating on Krishna is the real thing. So chanting gives you that. Okay? So the Lord induced his students to refrain from worldly education, for it is better to become Krishna conscious and in this way attain the highest perfectional platform of education. So this Blitziko is saying that's BS. Okay, you shut up. Okay, shut up and get out. If you're not, you do not know. You are talking some stool like nonsense. You just go get out. Then you don't have to be here. Okay, you don't know anything. Just please shut up and get out. So on these grounds, Sri Jiva Goswami later compiled the grammar entitled Harinamamrita Vyakarana. People in general consider such explanations crazy. Therefore, the Lord's purpose in his attitude of craziness was to explain that there is nothing within our experience but Krishna consciousness, for everything may be dovetailed with Krishna consciousness. These pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have been very vividly described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhyalila chapter 1. That's interesting. So, these pastimes of the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually teaching grammar and everything, that is actually in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhyalila chapter 1. Hmm. तबे तो क- तबे तो करेला प्रभु गया ते गमन ईश्वर पुरीर संगे तथाय मिलन. Translation: Thereafter the Lord went to Gaya. There he met Srila Ishwarpuri. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Gaya to offer respectful oblations to his forefathers. This process is called Pindadana. In Vedic society, after the death of a relative, especially one's father or mother, one must go to Gaya and there offer oblations to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. Therefore, hundreds and thousands of men gather in Gaya daily to offer such oblations or shraddha. Following this principle, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also went there to offer pinda to his dead father. Fortunately, he met Ishwar Puri there. So, what do you mean by what does Prabhupada mean by fortunately he met Ishwar Puri? So, is it fortunate for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to have met Ishwar Puri? Not exactly. So, it looks like oh, fortunately something happened. Lord's plan is always there. So, on the pretext of doing pindadan for his father, um, dead father, he went to Gaya and there he made Ishwar Puri fortunate by becoming his disciple. Um, Just like Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, he made them fortunate by becoming their son. He made the Yaduvamsha fortunate by becoming their descendant. So when Krishna is so he is the decoration of the decorations. The decorations don't decorate Krishna. Krishna decorates the decorations. So he is the decoration of everything. So otherwise, Mandanam Lokaranjanam, everything is dead. Just decorations on a dead body. Real decoration, one's body may be fully decorated with ornaments, but if there is no soul, if the body is not decorated with the presence of the soul, then it's useless. So the soul is the biggest decoration of the body. The body appears attractive only because of the soul inside. So otherwise, the body, even relatives will burn the body away, right? So but the body has value only because of the presence of the soul. That is the real decoration. So anyway, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being the Lord himself, he is the decoration for his devotees. So in that way. दीक्षा दीक्षा अनंतर होइलो प्रेमेर प्रकाश देशे आगमन पुनः प्रेमेर विलास. In Gaya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was initiated by Ishwar Puri and immediately afterwards he exhibited signs of love of Godhead. He again displayed such symptoms after returning home. Purport. So what's the 852? Purport. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Gaya accompanied by many of his disciples, he became sick on the way. He had such a high fever that he asked his students to bring water that had washed the feet of Brahmanas. And when they brought it, the Lord drank it. The Lord drank it and was cured. Therefore, everyone should respect the position of a Brahmana as indicated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Neither the Lord nor his followers displayed any disrespect to the Brahmanas. The followers of the Lord must be prepared to offer Brahmanas all due respect. When you talk about Brahmanas, the qualified ones, the unqualified ones, there's no point. Of course, the devotee shows respect even to the ant, but does not mean that he worships pseudo Brahmanas. Brahmanas, yes, not pseudo Brahmanas. He must know how to make distinction. He may give him the respect of a Brahmana, but he will not associate with him or anything if he is a pseudo Brahmana. The followers of the Lord must be prepared to offer Brahmanas all due respect. But preachers of Lord Chaitanya's cult object if someone presents himself as a Brahmana without having the necessary qualifications. This is the thing. The followers of Lord Chaitanya cannot blindly accept that everyone born in a Brahmana family is a Brahmana. Thank goodness that Prabhupada actually mentioned it. Because I was just mentioning the same thing. Um, Therefore, one should not indiscriminately follow the Lord's example. You see, therefore, one should not indiscriminately follow the Lord's example of showing respect to Brahmanas by drinking water that has washed their feet. Gradually, the Brahmana families have become degraded because of the contamination of Kali Yuga. Thus, they misguide people by exploiting their sentiments. This is very true. Very, very true. शची के शची के प्रेम दान तब शची के प्रेम दान तबे अद्वैत मिलन Advaita Paila Vishwarupa Darshan. Thereafter, the Lord delivered love of Krishna to his mother Shachi Devi, nullifying her offense at the feet of Advaita Acharya. Thus, there was a meeting with Advaita Acharya, who later had a vision of the Lord's universal form. Purport. One day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sitting on the throne of Vishnu in the house of Srivas Prabhu. And in a mood of his own, he said, "My mother has offended the lotus feet of Advaita Acharya. Unless she nullifies this offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, it will not be possible for her to achieve love of Krishna." Hearing this, all the devotees went to bring Advaita Acharya there. While coming to see the Lord, Advaita Acharya was glorifying the characteristics of Mother Shachi Devi, and thus upon arriving, he fell down on the ground in ecstasy. Then, under the instruction of Lord Chaitanya, Shachi Devi took advantage of this situation to touch Advaita Acharya's lotus feet. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very much pleased by his mother's action, and he said, "Now my mother's offense at the lotus feet of Advaita Acharya has been rectified, and she may have love of Krishna without difficulty." By this example, Lord Chaitanya taught everyone that although one may be very much advanced in Krishna consciousness, if one offends the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, his advancement will not bear fruit. We should therefore be very cautious not to offend a Vaishnava. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita has described such an offense as follows: यदि वैष्णव अपराध उठे हाथी माता उपाड़े वा छिंडे तार सुखी जाए पाता. CC Madhya 19.156. As a mad elephant may trample all the plants in a garden, so by committing one offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, one may spoil all the devotional service he has accumulated in his life. So here again, who is Vaishnava also should be seen by characteristic again. What is the characteristic of a Vaishnava? Not that, every Vaishnava is the same. No, it's not the same. Every Vaishnava is not the same. That's why there are first class Vaishnava, second class, third class Vaishnava. So we have to associate accordingly. And some are pseudo Vaishnavas, envious of Vaishnavas within Vaishnava community itself. So these we have to stay away from. We have to give them the respect of Vaishnava, but and that's why student that we study this particular purport, 329.17, and always Prabhu shows this. Um, Friendship should be cemented between persons with mutual interests and understanding. Such persons are said to be Svajati or of the same caste. The devotee should avoid a person whose character is not fixed in the standard understanding. Even though he may be a Vaishnava or a devotee of Krishna, if his character is not correctly representative, then he should be avoided. See? One should steadily control the senses and the mind and strictly follow the rules and regulations, and he should make friendship with persons of the same standard. So, Prabhupada said we should give the respect to a sannyasi even by bowing down to him, even if he is a Mayavadi sannyasi, but we should not associate with not only a Mayavadi sannyasi, but also with any Vaishnava sannyasi who is not in the proper um, mindset and fall behavior. We should not associate with even a Vaishnava sannyasi if he is not properly following. Hmm? But we should give him the respect at the same time. As a Vaishnava, okay, you're chanting Hare Krishna mantra, give him the respect, but stay away from him, not associate intimately closely with him. So these are all to protect ourselves. We cannot, behave. Oh, I'm seeing everybody equal. Krishna says we should say everybody equal. Equal means what? Then go and hug a tiger. You're seeing everybody so equal. Go and hug a tiger then. Go and hug a lion. I want to see that also. Huh? So stop talking nonsense, and we should know what is right, what is to be done. Although we see everybody equal, still we have to associate according to their position. Hmm. Discrimination may be made in the behavior. The other day, I think who was showing Debale, I think the 320. What is it verse? If you can point out again, 328 something, 26. 328 26 isn't? So Hare Krishna is mentioning that it is mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavat that reading or hearing these pastimes pastime nullifies the Vaishnava aparadha. Yes, but if we only read it and take the message completely, sometimes we will read so many pastimes, and then when time comes to test us, we will fail the test. We will commit Vaishnava aparadha, and we will, not learn anything. So that is useless. So yes, it nullifies, but when it is taken, just like Harina, one chant of Hare Krishna is more than enough to nullify all the sins that we have committed in our past and all the sins that that we can possibly commit in the future. That powerful Harinam is. But why are we not getting out of our sinful mentality even after we're chanting every day? Because we're not chanting it purely. So hearing nullifies, yes, but purely hearing. So of course, even if we don't purely hear, we should hear first, and then we'll become purified. Repeated hearing, therefore, should be there, so that we can become completely purified. Hmm. So Debala is, I think, not here, you know, because there's no response from him. I think it's 3:28:26 or something. I did not note it down. I should have. Next time I should note it down, even in the class. Let's just make a wild guess and gamble with the numbers. Let's indulge in some gambling. What is this? No, it's not this. So it's something else. Anyway, so the behavior and discrimination and behavior with them is different. We can see everybody equal, but we can't behave with everybody equal because we have a limitation of the body, right? We can't go and hug a tiger. So similarly, we should avoid those who endanger our spiritual life. So intimate association with those who are not correctly representative in their character, even though he may be a Vaishnava. Okay, 3:29:28. Let me note that. What is today's date? 30th December. Okay, 3:29:28. What it's all about. Hmm. In the previous verse, it was explained that living entities should be honored by charitable gifts and friendly behavior. And in this verse and the following verses, the description of different grades of living entities is given so that one can know when to behave friendly and when to give charity. For example, a tiger is a living entity, part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Supreme Lord is living in the heart of the tiger as Super Soul. But does this mean that we have to treat the tiger in a friendly manner? Certainly not. We have to treat him differently, giving him charity in the form of prasad. The many saintly persons in the jungles do not treat the tigers in a friendly way, but they supply prasad foodstuffs to them. The tigers come, take the food, and go away just as a dog does. According to the Vedic system, a dog is not allowed to enter the house. Because of their uncleanliness, cats and dogs are not allowed within the apartment of a gentleman, but are so trained that they stand outside. The compassionate householder will supply prasad to the dogs and cats who eat outside and then go away. We must treat the lower living entities compassionately, but this does not mean that we have to treat them in the same way we treat other human beings. The feeling of equality must be there, but the treatment should be discriminating. Just how discriminating just how discrimination should be maintained is given in the following six verses concerning the different grades of living conditions. So, and actually you can read this and let's see. So yeah, so So let's see the 329.29. Among the living entities who have developed sense perception, those who have developed the sense of taste are better than those who have developed only the sense of touch. Better than them are those who have developed the sense of smell, and better still are those who have developed the sense of hearing. Um, see, hearing. Hearing means they must be able to hear the Mahamantra and chant and everything. Of course, normal hearing also. Then, better than those living entities who can perceive sound are those who can distinguish between one form and another. Better than them are those who have developed upper and lower sets of teeth, and better still are those who have many legs. Better than them are the quadrupeds, and better still are the human beings. Among human beings, a society which is divided according to quality and work, Varnashram, is the best. And in that society, the intelligent men who are designated as Brahmanas are best. Among the Brahmanas, one who has studied the Vedas is the best. And among the Brahmanas who have studied the Vedas, one who knows the actual purport of the Vedas is the best. Better than the Brahmana who knows the purport of the Vedas is he who can dissipate all doubts. And better than him is one who strictly follows the Brahmanical principles. Better than him is one who is liberated from all material contamination. Better than him is a pure devotee who executes devotional service without expectation of reward. See how high this devotee situation is. These are all very beautiful verses. Therefore, I do not find a greater person than he who has no interest outside of mine, and who therefore engages and dedicates all his activities and all his life, everything unto me without cessation. So, so these kinds of, and even among the Vaishnavas who have dedicated, of course, here is a pure devotee. But before becoming a pure devotee, when the one comes into the Vaishnava realm, there is third class, second class, first class, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that in the 329, 8, 9, and 10 we have seen devotional service in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance, and the pure devotional service as well. Now Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says three modes. So there are three different kinds of devotional service, and then the three modes mix with each other. There are 81 different forms of devotional service. So in this way, devotional service is mixed in so many ways. One has to come to the purified state of devotional service, then that is proper devotional service. One has to rise above these mixed devotional service, Mishra Bhakti. One has to rise above Mishra Bhakti and come to Shuddha Bhakti. So, going back, one as a mad elephant may trample all the plants in a garden, so by committing one offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, one may spoil all the devotional service he has accumulated in his life. So sometimes people fear that I may create Vaishnava aparadh by talking something against um, so-called say ISKCON gurus, for example, or something like that. But in by not speaking the truth, they're committing offense to Prabhupada, which is even greater Vaishnava aparadh, right? Who is greater Vaishnava than Prabhupada? So that is even greater Vaishnava aparadh, and it's a Guru aparadh as well, double aparadh, and to the highest degree. So that's why, not out of hatred for them, but to point out, one has to frankly say if it is something is done nonsense, then nonsense. That's it. One has to be honest about it. After this incident, one day Advaita Acharya Prabhu requested Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to display the universal form he had very kindly shown Arjuna. Lord Chaitanya agreed to this proposal, and Advaita Prabhu was fortunate enough to see the universal form of the Lord. Prabhur Abhishek Tabe Korila Shrivas Khate Vasi Prabhu Kaila Aishwarya Prakash. Srivas Thakur then worshipped Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by the process of Abhishek. Sitting on a cot, the Lord exhibited transcendental opulence. Purport. Abhishek is a special function for the installation of the deity. In this ceremony, the deity is bathed with milk and water and then worshipped and given a change of dress. This Abhishek function was especially offered at the house of Srivas. All the devotees, according to their means, worshipped the Lord with all kinds of paraphernalia, and the Lord gave benedictions to each devotee according to his desire. तबे नित्यानंद स्वरूप आगमन प्रभु के मिलिया पायला षडभुज दर्शन. After this function at the house of Srivas Thakur, Nityananda Prabhu appeared, and when he met with Lord Chaitanya, he got the opportunity to see him in his six-armed form. So the six-armed form was shown to Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya as well, but I did not know that he actually showed it to Nityananda Prabhu as well here at Srivas Thakur's house, Srivas Angan. Interesting. Purport: the form of Shadbhuj, the six-armed Lord Gaurasundar, is a representation of three incarnations. The form of Sri Ramachandra is symbolized by a bow in one hand and an arrow in another. The form of Lord Sri Krishna is symbolized by a stick and a flute, like those generally held by a cowherd boy. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is symbolized by a sannyasi danda and kamandalu water pot. Sri Nityananda Prabhu was born in the village of Ekachakra in the district of Birbhum as the son of Padmavati and Hadai Pandit. In his childhood, he played like Balaram. Okay, so this is about Nityananda Prabhu. But you know, this Shadbhuj form, there is a particular verse in Bhagavatam which worships this Shadbhuj form confidentially. Only acharyas have brought the meaning out of that. But this is actually mentioning Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 11.5.34 of Srimad Bhagavatam. त्यक्त्वा सुदुस्त्यज सुरेप्सितराज्यलक्ष्मीं धर्मिष्ठ आर्यवचसा यदगादरण्यं मायामृगं दयितयेप्सितमन्वथावद् वन्दे महापुरुषते चरणारविन्दम्. 18. O Mahapurusha, I worship your lotus feet. You gave up the association of the goddess of fortune and all her opulence, which is most difficult to renounce uh, most difficult to renounce, and is hankered after by even the great demigods. Being the most faithful follower of the path of religion, you thus left for the forest in obedience to a Brahmana's curse. Out of sheer mercifulness, you chased after the fallen conditioned souls who are always in pursuit of the false enjoyment of illusion, and at the same time engaged in searching out your own desired object, Lord Shamsundar. This is actually a glorification of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But you see, purport. According to the Vaishnava Acharyas, this important verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam is understood to describe Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Krishna, and also Lord Sri Ramachandra. So this is like the Shadbhuj, you know, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed. This verse appears within the discussion of by the sage Karabhajana of the Yugavatars, or the different incarnations of the personality of Godhead who deliver the conditioned souls of each age. The prayers ending with the words Mahapurushate Charanaravindam are understood to glorify the incarnation of Lord Krishna in Kali Yuga known as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived for 24 years in Navadvip as a householder and enjoyed immense popularity among both scholars and ordinary persons. His Sankirtan movement was completely supported by the local government even though it was Muslim. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had the pleasure of marrying the goddess of fortune. No ordinary woman of the material world, no matter how gorgeous she may be, can in any way compare with the beautiful goddess of fortune. Everyone in the universe, including Lord Brahma, is searching after the goddess of fortune. Therefore, it is stated here, Surepsita. Sura, Ipsita. Sura means the demigods, Ipsita means one who desires. It means she is desired even by the demigods. Surepsita. However, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lord Krishna appearing as a Brahmana, and therefore he is certainly Dharmishta, or the most religious. Actually, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always Dharmishta. Whether he appears as a cowherd boy, a great king, or a Brahmana, because the Lord himself is the original source and personification of all religious principles. Vedo Narayana Sakshat, Dharmam Sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. However, in the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there are very few political or economic activities. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared as a great philosopher Brahmana, and thus he is certainly Dharmishta. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the 17th chapter of the Ādi it is described that a certain Brahmana, who was well known for being harsh and cursing others, could not enter the Kirtan hall where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was performing Kirtan because the door was locked. Being very agitated and breaking his Brahmana's thread, he cursed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the next day on the bank of the Ganga, saying, I shall now curse you, for your behavior has greatly aggrieved me. You shall be bereft of all material happiness. That was his curse. However, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt great jubilation within himself since his mission was Vairagya Vidya Nijabhakti Yoga. Actually, this verse is 1754 Adilila, that the Brahmana becoming angry. 1754. So anyway, Vairagya Vidya and Bhakti Yoga, Madhya 6.254, to give up the illusion of material sense gratification and staunchly engage 24 hours a day in the devotional service of the Lord. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took this curse as a blessing, and soon after the Lord took sannyas. Thus, it is stated in this verse that by the words of the Aryan, Aryavachasa, the Brahmana, Aryavachasa, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, Yadagadharanyam, that means who went to the forest, sannyas. And then, after touring South India, traveled through the various forests of India on the way to Vrindavan, Jharkhand forest. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted especially to preserve the prestige of the Brahmana class, and therefore he decided to keep the Brahmana's curse intact. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has explained the word Maya Mrigam as follows. Maya means one's so-called wife, children and bank account, which keep one firmly bound up in the material bodily concept of life. The word Mrigam indicates Mrigyati, or to search out. Thus, Maya Mrigam indicates the conditioned living entity who is always frantically searching for the latest up-to-the-minute sense gratification in the material bodily concept of society, friendship and love. Anvadhavat indicates that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was always visibly going here and there searching after the fallen conditioned souls. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would sometimes embrace the conditioned souls on the pretext of religious friendship or ecstasy, but actually the Lord was touching the bodies of the conditioned souls to pull them out of the ocean of material existence and hurl them into the ocean of the ecstatic love of Godhead. Thus, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the most merciful and munificent incarnation of the Lord, whose mercy surpassed the bounds of mundane discrimination in the matter of caste, color, and creed. The word Dayitaya can be explained as follows. The Sanskrit word Daya means mercy. Thus, by grammatical derivation, the word used in this verse, Dayitaya, indicates that because of being the most merciful, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was busily engaged in rescuing the fallen conditioned souls. So he had a mission of rescuing the fallen conditioned souls, not that he was letting them live as their lives. That's why devotee also he interferes in their lives and introduces Krishna consciousness, even though that other person may be disturbed by such intervention. The devotees go and try to enlighten everyone. Was busily engaged in rescuing the fallen conditioned souls who are completely distracted and bewildered by the external illusory energy of the Lord. The quality of being the most merciful is part and parcel of the character of the Mahapurusha, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, this verse also describes the incarnation of Lord Krishna himself in his original blackish form. Thus, the words Surepsita Rajya indicate Sri Mathura Sampattim, or the opulence of Mathura. Mathura is described in Vedic literature as the reservoir of all opulence because of the touch of the Lord's lotus feet in that precinct. But Krishna, although taking birth in the opulent city of Mathura, transferred himself to the forest village of Vrindavan. In this case, the word Aryavachasa indicates the order of Lord Krishna's original parents, Vasudeva and Devaki. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10.3.22 and 29, both Vasudeva and Devaki expressed their fear at the threat of Kamsa, who had already killed 6 of Krishna's elder brothers. The word Aryavachasa thus indicates that with great love they requested Krishna to kindly make some arrangement to avoid Kamsa. And Krishna, to obey their order, transferred himself to the forest village of Vrindavan, Yadagadharanyam. In this case, Vrindavaranyam. Vrindavana or Aranyam, Vrindaranyam is the same thing. Yadagadharanyam. In this context, the word Maya Mrigam indicate the special exalted relationship between Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna. Maya also indicates the internal potency of Krishna, Yoga Maya. The original form of Krishna's internal potency is Srimati Radharani. Due to the inconceivable love of Srimati Radharani, Lord Krishna becomes easily controlled by her. Thus, Mrigam or animal in this case indicates Krida Mrigam, or a toy animal. Just as a beautiful young girl may play with so many dolls or stuffed animals, similarly Lord Krishna becomes just like a doll in the hands of the most beautiful young girl, Srimati Radharani. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, Srimati Radharani performed innumerable types of worship in order to bind Krishna more and more to her, because Srimati Radharani cannot live without Krishna. Thus, due to Srimati Radharani's Aradhana or worship, Krishna can never leave Vrindavan. He runs here and there in Vrindavan protecting the cows, playing with his friends, and engaging in countless intrigues of love with Srimati Radharani and the gopis. Thus, the word Anvadhavat indicates Krishna's boyish activities. He is running throughout the transcendental land of Vrindavan tightly under the control of the love of Srimati Radharani. Srila Sridhar Swami has explained how this verse also describes the incarnation of Lord Sri Ramachandra. So you see, three different acharyas have mentioned, given three different purports. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's description, Jiva Goswami as Krishna's description, and Sridhar Swami as Ramachandra's description. Although the Lord is completely independent and detached from everything, he becomes attached to his pure devotees due to their love for him. In the great capital of Ayodhya, all of the citizens loved Ramachandra more than can be described. In this context, Arya Vachasa means that by the order of his father, who was just like his guru, Ramachandra gave up everything and went to the forest. There he exhibited his great affection for Mother Sita and chased after Maya Mrigam, or the illusory deer that had been created by the trick of Ravana. That this golden deer was especially desired by Srimati Sita Devi is indicated by the word Dayitayepsitam. All of the limbs of the Lord's transcendental body are non-different and interchangeable as stated in Brahma Samhita 532. अंगानि यस्य सकलेन्द्रियवृत्तिमन्ति पश्यन्ति पान्ति कलयन्ति चिरं जगन्ति आनन्दचिन्मयसदुज्ज्वलविग्रहस्य गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. All of the limbs, Angani of the Supreme Lord, are Sakalendriya Vrittimanti, or possessing all of the functions of all of the other limbs. Thus, the two lotus feet of the personality of Godhead are a plenary representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and worshipping the Lord's lotus feet immediately places the worshipper in the ocean of transcendental bliss. There is no factual difference in the spiritual quality between the incarnations of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Krishna, and Lord Sri Ramachandra. As stated in the Vedic literatures, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam, Brahma Samhita 533. Therefore, there is no contradiction in the opinions of the Acharyas that this verse wonderfully glorifies three different manifestations of the one absolute truth. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is undoubtedly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His transcendental attributes fulfill, in every sense of the term, the descriptions of the Absolute Truth as given in the Vedic literature. So, in this way, the Shadbhuj form is kind of represented by this verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. So, now, reading on from the purport of Ādi 17.12. Sri Nityananda Prabhu was born in the village of Ekachakra in the district of Birbhum as the son of Padmavati and Hadai Pandit. In his childhood, he played like Balram. When he was growing up, a sannyasi came to the house of Hadai Pandit and begged to have the Pandit's son as his brahmachari assistant. Hadai Pandit immediately agreed and delivered his son to him, although the separation was greatly shocking, so much so that Hadai lost his life after the separation. Look at this. You know, Hadai Pandit, because he's the father of Nityananda Prabhu, his ecstasy, his affection for the son. But then he never hesitated even one bit and immediately agreed to give his son to the Pandit as brahmachari assistant. And he even died because of separation. Wow. So look at how much not only the transcendental ecstasy is on full display, but also the dutifulness. Just like Ramachandra Bhagavan, he loves Mother Sita more than his own life. But to fulfill the duty of a king, which is to be above all suspicion, despite she and he already being above suspicion, and Agni Pariksha happened, the fire test happened, and Sita Devi showed her purity. Still, if there is some kind of um, lack of confidence of the people in the king, then that also has to be addressed. So he banished Mother Sita, even though he, for the sake of duty, even though he loved her dearly. So these are some of the great examples of, on one side, exhibiting transcendental ecstasy, because the love between Sita and Ram is actually, conjugal love, and also showing us that duty is more important than attachment, because From mundane point of view, it is family attachment, husband and wife, and father and son. These are family attachments. So even though it may be painful for the father, he should agree to give the son to the Gurukul, to the Guru, and train him up. So he shouldn't be attached. He should not let the attachment for his son overpower his duty to make the son, you know, um, a devotee of Krishna. And to make the son a devotee of Krishna is not, oh no, okay, okay, I will keep him in in my house and make him a devotee of Krishna in my house. No, you have to give him to a guru, because without guru you cannot go to God. And giving to guru means letting him be trained, let him go through the whole proper brahmachari process. By pampering him like that, you're actually spoiling him. Give him and then let him experience the brahmachari life under the gurukula, that setting. Let him be in that setting and learn, just like Krishna and Ram also, and even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they learned. I mean, of course they don't need to learn, but they set the example. They went to the Gurukul, not stayed with the parents. So many lessons are being taught by this kind of behavior. Um, so Nityananda Prabhu traveled on many pilgrimages with the sannyasi. It is said that for many days he lived at Mathura with him, and at that time he heard about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes in Navadvip. Hmm. Therefore, he came down to Bengal to see the Lord. When Lord Nityananda came to Navadvip, he was a guest at the house of Nandanacharya. Understanding that Nityananda Prabhu had arrived, Lord Chaitanya sent his devotees to him, and thus there was a meeting between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. Okay, I would like to stop here. No, I think we will finish this meeting with Nityananda Prabhu. प्रथमे षड्भुजे तारे देखायलो ईश्वर शंख चक्र गदा पद्म शारंग वेणुधर. Um, One day, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited to Lord Nityananda Prabhu a six-armed form bearing a conch shell disc, club, lotus flower, bow, and flute. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is different from Shadbhuj form showed to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, which is Ramchandra is bow and arrow, Krishna is stick and flute, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has Kamandala and water pot. But here, conch shell, disc, club, lotus flower, bow, and flute. Interesting. Okay, because just now Prabhupada also mentioned the other way, like bow and arrow, flute and stick, and Kamandala and water pot. But anyway, all the instruments of the Lord are interchangeable, and everything is spiritual. तबे चतुर्भुज होइला तीन अंग वक्र दुई हस्ते वेणु बाजाए दुए दुए शंख चक्र. Thereafter the Lord showed him his four-armed form, standing in a three-curved posture. With two hands he played upon a flute, and in the other two he carried a conch shell and a disc. So first Shadbhuj form, then Chaturbhuj form. तबे तो द्विभुज केवल वंशी वदन श्याम अंग पीत वस्त्र वर्जेंद्र नंदन. Finally, the Lord showed Nityananda Prabhu his two-armed form of Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, simply playing on his flute, his bluish body dressed in yellow garments. Purport: Sri Chaitanya Mangal vividly elaborates upon this description. तबे नित्यानंद गोसायर व्यास पूजन नित्यानंदावेश कोइलो मुशल धारण. Nityananda Prabhu then arranged to offer Vyasa Puja or worship of the spiritual master to Lord Sri Gaurasundar, but Lord Chaitanya carried the plow-like weapon called Mushala in the ecstasy of being Nityananda Prabhu or Balram. So I think we will read this again next life, next week, next life. Okay, that's too far. Okay, so next week we will read this. Um, so I'll take any questions which are relevant to the topic. Hmm. Hitesh is asking, I have a doubt. The Hare Krishna mantra is supposed to be Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and then Hare Krishna, right? So yeah, in the Vedas it is like that. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he turned it around to make it Hare Krishna first, to signify that Krishna is actually a supreme personality of Godhead, and it is chanted in both ways actually. Hare Rama first or Hare Krishna first. Anyway, it becomes the same thing when you repeatedly chant over and over again. And also, another example is given that like Narad Muni asked Valmiki when he first met Valmiki, he was a highway robber. So he was a criminal actually, criminal. So he asked him to chant Ram Ram and become uh, purified. So he could not even chant Ram Ram. It was very difficult for him to pronounce Ram 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 Ram. It was very difficult for him to pronounce. Then okay, Narad Muni said Mara. Say Mara. Ah, Mara is easy. Okay, Mara 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 Mara. So it became the same thing again, Ram. So he reversed the order of the word, but it became the same thing. So here also the mantra is reversed, especially for fallen people like us, just like Valmiki was fallen at that time. Kali Yuga, everybody is fallen. And let me show you something. There is verse. Adhya 9.32 of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Bhistulyam Rama Nama Varanane. In the Brihad Vishnu Sahasranama Stotram, sometimes it is differently. Third line is Sahasranama Tattulyam is mentioned. Sahasranama Bhistulyam also is the same thing, same meaning. So you see, Lord Shiva addressed his wife Durga. O Varanana, I chant the holy name of Ram, Ram, Rama, and thus enjoy this beautiful sound. This holy name of Ramachandra is equal to 1000 holy names of Lord Vishnu. Sahasra Nama Bhistulyam Rama Nama Varanane. So although Lord Krishna, Lord Ram, and Vishnu all are same, but still the name of Ram is 1000 times more potent than chanting the name of Vishnu. If you chant 1000 names of Vishnu, then it is equal to one name of Ram. Okay? Then, so this is from Brihad Vishnu Sahasranama Stotra in Uttarakhanda of Padma Puran, 72nd chapter, 335th verse. Now, next verse you see. Sahasranam nam punyanam triravritya tu yat phalam ekavritya tu krishnasya namayakam tat prayachati. The pious results derived from chanting the 1000 holy names of Vishnu 3 times can be attained by only one utterance of the holy name of Krishna. So that is the point. So 3 times the name of Ram is equal to 1 time the name of Krishna chanting. So that means one chant of the name Krishna equals 3000 names of Vishnu. Although you may say, how can you calculate the word? I mean, the names of God like this, but it's not our calculation, sir. It is Krishna's own Vedas, Puranas, which are saying this. Okay, this is from the Brahmanda Purana, and it is found in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita by Rupa Goswami. So these are scriptural, statements by Lord Shiva and here by in the Brahmanda Purana as well. So this is the thing. So that's why since Krishna's name is even more powerful than Ram, that is mentioned as first. That is the reason. And to signify that Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam and Ramadimurtishu Kala Niyamena Tishthan Nanavataram Akarod Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishnas Sambhavat Paramah Purmanyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Let's look at that verse. रामादिमूर्तिषु कलानियमेन तिष्ठन् नानावतारमकरोद्भुवनेषु किन्तु कृष्णः स्वयं समभवत् परमः पुमान्यो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifested himself personally as Krishna and the different avatars in the world and the forms of Rama, Narasimha, Vamana, etc. as his subjective portions. Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramah Pumanyo. Ramadimurtishu Kala Niyamena Tishtam. Kala means portions of the portions. Um, Although plenary portion means equal portion, equal portion means equal with the original. So although it is like we are saying portion, it's not a portion of like a part. Plenary portion means equal level, equally powerful. So like that. But at the same time, Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam, and therefore Krishna's name is so much more significant. And therefore this Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare is a condensed form of all the names of Vishnu. Is so powerful. And that's the reason why this was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu particularly changed the order. Hmm. Okay, Deval is asking, Prabhu, how not to commit the ninth offense while preaching to a faithless person. Most of the time, their questions are very simple, but in spite of giving real answers, they become more envious. Okay, first of all, we need to know how to give the answers. So, in the beginning, we may not be very expert in properly presenting ourselves, and maybe because of that, they may become. But it doesn't matter, we will learn it over time. Okay, and also sometimes, even after your best efforts, still the person may not take to it, and he may become envious. So that after that it's finished. We don't further instruct him anyway. But if he has brought an argument, we have to defeat that sufficiently. And defeat means logically. With scholarship, with proper explanation of the shastra, we can defeat. So this will take some time. In the beginning, maybe our presentation will not be correct, even though we may know the answer. The way we say it, that may uh, anger them or whatever. So eventually, Krishna will give us the intelligence on how to present ourselves. But we should present ourselves nonetheless. Over time, Krishna will. It's not that we have to become perfect and then only present ourselves. No, we start. Never mind. Even we may make mistakes. We start first, and then eventually Krishna will give the intelligence. Because tesham satati yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhiyogam tam yena mam upayantite. He will give dadami buddhiyogam tam, but to those who are actually serving him. So you serve. Krishna said, you know, um, those who are preachers, they are his best servants, right? Bhagavad Gita 1868 and 69. So that is service to him. So service to him while we are engaging in that service, and he will give the intelligence how to become slowly better and better ourselves. So that's the thing. So yeah, we cannot really completely avoid it. So after we gauge the person, okay, this guy is like useless for all practical purposes. So better you go. You go and have fun. I'll let me talk to another person. That's it. Finish. Relationship with bodily father shapes relationship with God. The other way around. Yeah. Who is this? Adar Manish. Manish. Dandavad Pranam Prabhu. How should we know that the descriptions of Puranas are not stories but real facts? We should just accept. Because Krishna is not a liar. Because, okay, let's. So, if. How do we know you're asking, right? So, can you prove that they're not facts? You can't. You don't have the wherewithal to prove that they're not facts. Okay? And then, so you can't have the skepticism that they're not facts as well. The main thing is that it is given by Krishna himself. Krishna Veda Purana Kolila. What is that? Maya Mugdha Jiver Hai Swatah Krishna Gyan. This one. Maya Mugdha. 20.122. माया मुग्ध जीवेर नाही स्वतः कृष्ण ज्ञान जीवेरे कृपाया कोयल Krishna Ved Puran. The conditioned soul cannot revive his Krishna consciousness by his own effort. But out of causeless mercy, Lord Krishna compiled the Vedic literature and its supplements to Puranas. So, Madhyandina Shruti, Srila Jiva Goswami also quoted that all these Itihasas, Puranas, Vedas, Upanishads, everything is coming from the breathing of the Lord. Of course, I need to find out the exact verse that will be even nicer, because the verse was not quoted. So, I mean, even Bhagavatam says Veda Narayana Sakshat. So Vedas are Sakshat Narayan. So all these Vedic literature is truth, is given to us by the Lord, revealed by the Lord. They are not some fantasy stories. They are not. How do you know? Then well, it's not for you to see. Forget the modern scientific paradigm or framework of knowing something. Modern scientific way of knowing something is to observe, experiment, deduce, verify. These words are used. So, we, all these methods fall short of the um, fall short in understanding this position, because the Lord works in wonderful ways. And one of the ways why we can't have a very linear understanding of things is that in history there have been multiple devastations that happened. So something that has happened much before, we won't have even a trace of what that happened. But these are kept, these knowledge are kept, you know, with the Lord and his devotees. And that is transferred in the parampara system through oral reception. And that's how this knowledge is passed down. So Arsha Vigya Vakya nahe dosha esab, Ishwarera Vakya nahe dosha esab. That means this is from Ādi Chaitanya Charitamrita 7.107 and 2.86. So the Lord's words doesn't have a mistake and four defects, and the pure devotees' words also do not have four defects. So therefore they are perfect. This is not just hearsay. Hearing from the right source is not hearsay. Hearing from anybody else, and that is called hearsay. This is called Shruti Pantha, Shrauta Pantha, hearing, and perfect knowledge is received in this way from the Lord. You are not to verify it. You cannot verify. You don't have the means to verify it. But they always hold true. Axiomatically, they hold true. The principles that are laid down in the Puranas, everything is true. Now, the incidents which are mentioned, we may or may not be able to verify. That doesn't matter. But the thing is true. The principles. So, to even connect, other than the principles, the actual events and everything also, what is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, for example, Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre. That Kurukshetra is still there. You can go and see. Mathura is still there, Janma Bhumi. There is Vrindavan. So you cannot deny that there is these places, but these places are mentioned 5,000 years ago in the books, Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. And how come that is so? Of course, this is much recent history comparatively, but Puranas are millions of years. Now, when there is devastations at every end of every yuga, there is a partial devastation. There's a huge kind of events destruction that happens. And especially after each kalpa, there is a destruction that happens. Each manu, there is destruction that happens. So there are so many things that happen, and these traces of these places also may go. But the topics of these pastimes will not fade because it is passed down through parampara system, and that's how it is handed down. We, from our tiny vantage point, we may see it as, oh, whether I can believe or not. Well, in the same way, I may or may not believe that Gandhi existed, because I was not in the lifetime of Gandhi. I'm just hearing from whatever other people are saying. Okay, you may say, oh, there are photos. Okay, I can take anybody's photo and put them and make a story of that. This is Gandhi. Who knows? Or who is Shakespeare, for example? Do we know that he really existed? Well, he did exist in some 16th century or something. But how do we know? So these are, you know, coming down in the history. But especially these histories of the Puranas coming from millions of years past. That is not possible by ordinary historical records or, you know, ordinary verifiable things. That has to come from parampara system. That's the only way it will survive the devastations that happen. Because parampara and the topics concerning, even though the people in this world may forget and die and be destroyed and civilizations may perish, but these topics are sung everywhere, all over the creation. Ebe Jasha Ghushuk Tribhuvana. The spiritual master, his fame is known throughout the three worlds. Even in the heavenly planets, they know Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj. They know all these things. So even if these dynasties of this world, may undergo a devastation or what, the Lord again sends his pure devotees as acharyas, and sometimes even the demigods or whatever, and they will again start. You know, so these topics will not die down because the Lord takes special care in maintaining these histories, so which um, instruct us. Uh, iti asam prachakshate. Okay, see this. धर्मार्थकाममोक्षाणाम् उपदेशसमन्वितं पूर्ववृत्तकथायुक्तम् इतिहासं प्रचक्षते. A text that consists of narrations of past events and includes instructions about religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation is called an itihasa. Now, a perfect example of this preservation of past is there in the Bhagavad Gita itself. Krishna says, "Oh, I have spoken the same science to the sun god." Right? Imam vivasvate yogam proktavanaham avyayam vivasvan manave praham manorikshnata bravik 4.1. Personality of God, which the Lord Sri Krishna said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivasvan, and Vivasvan instructed to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku, and in this way it was coming down. What happened? Sakale neha mahata. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sakale neha mahata yogo nashtaha parantapa. Hmm. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. So it was lost. What happened then? So it's lost forever? No. स एवायं मया तेद्य योगः प्रोक्तः पुरातनः भक्तोऽसि मे सखा चेति रहस्यं हि एतदुत्तमम्. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend and therefore can understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So, here is how Krishna is reviving again that history, that knowledge again to the human society when it was lost. So, Krishna remembers everything past, present, and future. So, even if the memory of that past is gone in this world, the Krishna will intervene and again inject that knowledge again back into the society when he thinks it fit. So that's how it is maintained. Varun Prakash is asking what should be our mood during chatting. Chanting. Okay, Varun Prakash, chanting. So, I mean, this is not exactly related to the class at all. These unrelated questions should be stopped. They should be relevant questions to further understand the subject at hand. If you ask everywhere anything and everything, then how people will focus on the subject? Anyway, since you asked, our mood while chanting should be to listen to what we're chanting and pray to Krishna. Please engage me in your service. Oh Radha Krishna, please engage me in your service. That's the mood. Okay. Sarvaguhyatamam guhyad guhyataram. Okay, Shabda Brahma. Yeah, this is Shabda Brahma. So we should accept it as it is. Alright, so we'll stop it here. चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय, श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद, हरि हरि बोल, हरे कृष्णा. Thank you very much.